Welcome to the expansion of consciousness. I'm your host, Jason Medlock, and we have a great show today, and where we dive deep into the realms of the subconscious mind and personal growth. The show is about mindfulness and transforming our journey into our self-discovery. Today, we're thrilled to have Natalie with us, and she's a resilient single mom of three. Natalie overcame life threatening illnesses to become a beacon of empowerment. In 2019, she created the company Lift Oneself through mindfulness and decisive action. She guided others on journeys of self discovery and healing, tapping into the body's nervous system and energy flow with a focus of unraveling emotional blockages and reconnecting with intuition. Natalie empowers individuals to realize their full potential through small, manageable steps. She fosters connection and understanding by utilizing personal tools such as nature of meditation. She cultivates more knowledge and experience by being the best host of the Lift Oneself podcast, which deep dives into conversations with Natalie's guidance. Individuals embark on a transformative journey of growth, unlocking their true potential. And without any further ado, we're going to bring on Natalie Bedard. Hello, Natalie. How are you today?
I am well, Jason. Wow. Can you present me more often with that kind of energy? I'm like, who is he talking about?
I
But
know, and I often charge a few tweets and a few, email blasts. Okay,
yes,
so
you have a
so
beautiful voice. Your frequency and your presentation, it's so enriching and it's so inviting. So thank you for that graciousness of words and presentation.
and well, I'm a hypnotist, and so I delve and I work with the subconscious mind. So I have to make you comfortable, and I have to make you safe. So I've uh, really worked on this voice, and I just want to thank you. But let's just get into it. I just want to ask you some questions today and get our audience familiar with a lot of things that you do. And I'd love for you to share with us the moment you realize the power of mindfulness in your life. How did you come to this realization, with your approach and the way it impacted you, to be able to help, get through obstacles that were in your life?
Well, I th I believe it started, when I became a parent to my first child,
Hmm.
and that was back in 1995. And so I believe, parenting is the highest spiritual practice to learn about yourself.
Hmm.
And if you allow yourself to see the reflection in the mirror, then you can start, being curious about the journey inside and understanding your nervous system and how it was shaped and everything else. And then I had twins in 2010, and that was it rattled my world, let's just say. And then in 2014, as you mentioned, I was faced with a terminal illness, which was lesions in my brainstem and my cerebellum. And I was given a prognosis of death because they had no idea what they were dealing with. And I was like hospitalized for almost 40 days and given a battery of tests. And they still couldn't find out what was causing the lesions. So I was released from the hospital without a diagnosis and without a plan. So basically put into the wilderness of, okay, well, how am I going to support my life force? Because when I was in the hospital, I couldn't walk. The lesions had changed the positioning of my eyes, like literally like this. And I had severe vertigo. And just creating thoughts was really exhausting and trying to make decisions and actions. So I really got an inside look of how the nervous system functions in these chemical drops that happen and energy, how we interact with other nervous systems and the environments and ourselves. And so with death kind of being on my that allowed me to really open up mindfulness because there was a surrender, like, there's nowhere else for me to run from. So, here it is. How do I have acceptance for this new body, this new way, and not really given what is causing this illness and where I could possibly die. So the pain, it was really facing the pain, and that was the biggest part that I think we always try to avoid, and then it causes more suffering, and then we still end up having to face that pain that we were avoiding at the beginning. And so because I had physical pain, I had emotional pain, it and spiritual pain also of being disconnected from the big S, the self. And so when I found meditation in 2015, that allowed me to really somatically release all these emotional charges that were in my nervous system and have more clarity and really expand mindfulness. And when my body started healing, the professionals were like, I don't know what you're doing, but it sounds like mindfulness, yet continue doing what you're doing because obviously it's working and we don't know how it became and we don't know how it's reversing. So continue on that path. And so, I have to thank the illness, as challenging as it has been and the grief process, it expanded a totally different dimension of my self-awareness and mindfulness and how to interact with it in the everyday. And being parents of the twins are 14 now in their teens and they're 2 boys, I really have to dive deep into my mindfulness and breathing and regulating to, be able to learn how to communicate and not just project to shut things off.
Wow, I mean, that's a powerful moment of insight, Natalie. It truly shows how mindfulness just isn't just a practice, um, you know, but it can be also considered as a lens through which we can view our challenges differently.
Mhm.
All by transforming them into opportunities, and certainly you were able to take those opportunities for your growth. It reminds us all that mindfulness and the awareness can be really fundamental, and it really can change your life's trajectory. And people always ask, when I'm on this show, they when I'm talking to different um, I'm doing different interviews, put it like that, when I'm doing different interviews, and I try to tell people, live using mindfulness. But most folks will be like, okay, mindfulness. What is mindfulness? And I tell people it is noticing everything about you, everything around you, the way you feel, the way the breath comes in and out of the nose, noticing the breath, the intelligence of the breath, noticing the hair and how it feels when you brush your hand across the skin. And those are just small examples mindfulness, and a person who practices mindfulness gains clarity, gains a sharpness in the way they think, and it really changes your life. you know so let's talk about your journey of overcoming challenges. And you just talked about the life-threatening illness, but what about the demands of a single parent? And how have you seen your practice of self-care evolve?
Um, I really changed the narrative of what parent and child was in my life. How I
Mm,
parented my first one is nothing compared to how I parent the twins.
yes.
And it became of recognizing that these are human beings and I have no idea what I'm doing. And how could I know what to provide or what to say as guidance if I don't even know how to give that own language to myself? So it was really a journey of reparenting myself while holding space and guidance for allowing emotions to be in the communication. If anybody's a parent, when those temper tantrums happen, those defiant moments, those arguments, most parents want to shut it down because it's you're bringing up all this stuff in me, and or you're giving me a destruction of the image of what you should look like because of what we perceive a child should be, or whatever our narrative is inside. So I really was breaking away all those things and allowed myself to see the human that was in front of me and allow that human to explore. And by doing that, that allowed even more for mindfulness to expand and have that awareness. And as you said, it's like I think a lot of people, why they find it difficult with mindfulness is because a lot of people are in their head and they don't wanna come back in their body, and you have to come back into the body to feel the mindfulness. Yet
Mhm.
if you've had a lot of significant pain, due to trauma, and I've had, like, childhood trauma and, an array of different trauma that has brought me to this moment, I understand the language of trauma, and I understand how threatening it can feel to come back into your body. Yet if you don't come back into your body, you don't feel the depth of what mindfulness can bring you and really feel alive in life. And also another piece is feeling your authentic emotions. A lot of us feel secondary emotions. We don't even know what our true emotions are.
Right.
So allowing a space for the twins to have their emotions and feel it and validate while recognizing what it's bringing up in me and being mindful and responsible for my own stuff and not projecting it on them to be like, you're causing me to feel this way. It's like, no, I am feeling this way because of the vibration that we are interacting in. So it really takes a depth of really understanding yourself, understanding your biology. And it sometimes expands really big, and other times it's just little trinkets. Everybody's path is different with what mindfulness will be for them. Yet it's really being as present as your nervous system will allow you to, and being able to feel the depths of life, not
I
just
like
superficial.
I like how you threw in, that self-realization towards the end of your conversation, and being able to self-realize what's happening to you so that you can effectively use some of the practices and some of the techniques that you use. But when I would be remiss to not to mention, when you are being mindful, typically people are actually combining that with meditation.
Mhm.
And we talked earlier before we started the show, and you asked me did I meditate, and I'm a transcendental meditator, and I know that you're going to be doing some cool stuff for us here in a second. And TM really allows us to reach this level of transcendence, this level of peace by using the mantra. And you go through a lot of different levels to reach that level, that serenity where you can self-realize, you can feel love, you can experience just a number of things. And meditation often seems daunting for beginners. Um, but from your experience, what simple guidance can you offer to make it more accessible and more impactful for someone who's just starting their meditation journey?
TM was my portal into meditation, and as I told the person that was teaching me, I was going very deep, very quickly, and very profoundly.
Mhm.
And like I said, death was on my door, so that's why I couldn't escape. Yet I told her, "I totally understand why people quit meditation and they won't come back for a year or 2 because it's unearthing a bunch of stuff that we usually don't process." And we think, "Well, it's back there, it's not bothering me anymore." Yet the body keeps count. There are these charges that are in your nervous system that your body needs to somatically process. And so I now help people to come into the breath. I know a lot of people will hear, just breathe. And they're like, stop telling me to breathe. I'm already doing that. What the missing piece is focus on your breath. Come into your breath. Come back into your body. Come into the moment, into the now, and be able to go into your portal of being within yourself, to be able to self-realize and be accountable and responsible of your inner terrain. And that can be very overwhelming if you have so much stuff stuffed inside you and you keep presenting these masks out into the world. And then you don't even really know what is my authentic self. Who am I really being? What are my actual feelings? So, if you would permit me, Jason, I would love to guide us into a meditation right now. And so your listeners can see what that looks like and how it's a simple step, yet the simple things in life that are free are so difficult for us to access. And that's why it's called a practice, because you don't just do it when it's a high state, it's doing it all the time so you know how to navigate the waves of life.
Well,
So,
we
would
like
you?
live presentations of how to. I'm going to move you to the main screen
Okay.
and, just talk us through it and let the audience experience what you have to offer.
Okay. I know we're in an age of, multitasking and a lot of high focus. So a lot of times people are listening to this while doing activities. I'm going to ask Jason and I'm going to close my eyes. Yet, if you need your visual senses, please don't close your eyes. Keep yourself safe and everybody else around. Yet, the other prompts you're able to follow with whatever task you're using. So, Jason, I'm going to ask you to get comfortable and to gently close your eyes.
Okay.
And you're going to begin breathing in and out through your nose. And you're going to watch your breath go in and out through your nose. You're not going to try and control your breath. You're just going to be aware of its rhythm while still keeping your awareness on your breath. There may be sensations or feelings that are coming up in the body. It's okay. You're safe to feel them. You're safe to let go while still staying with your breath. Surrender the need to control, release the need to resist, and just be. Be with your breath. Drop into your body. And just keep your awareness on watching your breath. There may be some thoughts or some moments that are coming up in your mind, and that's normal. It's to bring your awareness back to your breath. Now, for some, if this is the first time you're doing it, you may be feeling some overwhelm in your body. So, what I'm going to ask you to do is to take your left hand and place it at the bottom of your belly. So, right underneath your belly button. And when you inhale with your nose, you're going to bring your breath all the way down to where your hand is. And you're going to push your belly out like it's a balloon. So, you're going to fill up the air all the way down. And when you've done that, you're going to hold your breath for about 2 seconds, 3 seconds. And then you're going to gently release it back through your nose up. And you're going to suck in your belly, bringing your hand all the way to the back of your back. And then you're going to do another cycle of that again, allowing the oxygen to fill all your cells. The majority of us are only shallow breathers. We're not allowing ourselves to really intake the oxygen in our body. So after you've done that, I'm going to ask you to come back to your breath, watching your breath go in and out through your nose. And don't try to block anything out. Allow your senses to be curious, yet allow them to see that there's nothing that you need to do. There's nothing to be concerned about. Just be aware of your breath and don't push anything away. Stay with your breath. while staying with your breath at your own time and at your own pace. You're going to gently open your eyes while still staying with your breath. As meditators, we understand the power of this stillness. Yet for some, it can be very deafening and they need words and they need language. Yet the more that you can create a better relationship with the silence and the stillness, you're able to release some of the narratives or be aware of your inner language and to drop into out of the static and into better clarity and connecting into source, be it God, Allah, universe, whatever language you call your higher power, to be connected in that intuition and really allow curiosity to start exploring. Because if you are not allowing yourself to be curious, then the unknown and the uncertainty activate your nervous system constantly. And then you're riddled with fear. So allowing your curiosity to go out there allows you to feel the safety of that unknown and uncertainty. And then you come to become really aware of how you really have limited control in this world and how impermanent life is. Yet that's the beauty of the mindfulness, to allow you to do a shift and pivot in a different way of how you interact with life and being alive.
Wow. And, I heard you say that your introduction to meditation, your portal was TM, transcendental. And it's a reversal for me. My introduction was what you just did, more of a guided meditation. That was my introduction. And I would go on YouTube and find all the different guided meditations that were focused on the breath. And then I got the app, the Gaia
Mm,
app. And there's a wonderful meditator that, he would, and I forgot his name, but he would guide you through the intelligence of the breath. And it wasn't until I started remote viewing, before before I started remote viewing, I found transcendental meditation. And what intrigued me so much about transcendental meditation was the quietness, and was the fact that you were leading this quietness. So I experienced guided meditation, and then I experienced transcendental, which was just you. And it really helped me in understanding how to manipulate. Well, I shouldn't say manipulate, but to access the subconscious mind, to move my consciousness to different places and observe. Sort of that's the entire point of remote viewing. And my instructor said, Jason, you're picking this up really fast with identifying these targets. And he says, you meditate, don't you? I said, yes. He says, people who meditate have a better chance at remote viewing, using those skills, because you've figured out how to calm the body
mhm,
and to calm the mind so that you can focus on the targets. And I found that, Natalie, meditation is the crux of all the spiritual modalities. If you're gonna, that you're gonna go into using hypnosis, if you're gonna go into using all these different, EFT tapping, Reiki, that meditation is the base of all these modalities, and it's just comforting to know that, um, you're giving examples on how to start small and simple, but how it really can lead to just this profound change in people over time. And I'm just excited for our listeners, so they can know that meditation is accessible to everyone. And, regardless of where you are in your journey. But kindness and loving kindness practices are really significant uh, in emotional and spiritual healing. Can you explain how these practices have helped you in your personal growth and um, in assisting others on their own journey?
Loving kindness allowed me to come, like I said, come back into the body. You
Mhm.
see what TM does with the mantra, it regulates the nervous system so you're able to drop into it, because what I discovered is the nervous system is the container of our spirit. And so there's this energetic field that you have to drop into. And when you learn TM, you learn these different fields that you go into. So it's almost like a visual of, I don't know if you know quantum physics, or if anybody's seen Ant-Man when they had to
Yeah.
get through a portal. That's, when the nervous system is very dysregulated and hypervigilant, it's really difficult to drop into that stillness, because it's just the chatter and the inner critic and all this stuff that's going on. And so what loving kindness helps you to do is rewire and regulate your nervous system. That you can now no longer have this harsh, punishing language that we've been kind of indoctrinated, that that's the only way you grow is with tough love. It's actually being able to have acceptance and gentleness and kindness of seeing the mistakes that you do, seeing the harm that you do, and allowing yourself to be honest of why you're doing it, to be honest about the fear. We haven't really created a good relationship with fear, and fear is needed. Like, if your nervous system doesn't feel fear, you would die very quickly. It's the one function your nervous system has to keep this body safe. Yet a lot of us are so bombarded with so many things that are psychologically fearful that it just runs our system rampant. And so being able to have that loving kindness allows you to come, like I said, back into the body, understand when your nervous system's dysregulated and feeling that constrict or that harshness or feeling that language, and being able to face the fear, face the pain, and go through it. Not about overcoming or leaving it behind. It's going through it and integrating and recognizing that there's sometimes you're going to have fragmented parts, but it's to bring it back to a whole with a W. So that loving kindness reminds you that rather than seeking outside for this love and this belonging, it's always within you, and we forget that. We forget that we're the light. We forget that our identity is worth and love. So we go seeking it on the outside, where it's like, no, it's not going from the outside in, it's actually going from the inside out.
Yeah, and it highlights the transformative power, I mean, loving kindness for everybody, every individual out there that's around them. You know, it's just a beautiful reminder that compassion, um, having compassion towards oneself, can be very powerful, and it can be a powerful catalyst for healing and connection to source and to yourself. You know, I want to talk about grief, and we know that grief is a universal experience, but yet everyone processes it differently. Natalie, based on your understanding and experiences, what advice would you give someone struggling to navigate grief?
Radical honesty
Hmm.
and face the rage. Allow yourself to give expression to the rage.
Yes.
There's a loss, and we don't have healthy relationships with anger and rage. We're told it's a taboo and it's very destructive, where it's like, no, there's healthy. Like, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Gandhi, all these people that are so spiritual and did such big impacts in the world, they knew how to have a healthy relationship with this energy. And so allow yourself to have that space of radical honesty to feel these expressions. And also recognize that you're going to go through grief continuously in your life. A lot of people think grief is only when somebody dies or when they've lost a pet. A grief of a job, a grief of a relationship, a grief of a home, a grief a grief of the way you were able to do something at one point. And so being able to interact with that energy and face it. And again, have radical honesty and find people that you're able to be vulnerable with, that they're not trying to fix you. They're holding a space of deep listening, yet mirroring back that it's okay to feel these things. Now, let us help you to be able to stand back up on your own. Yet that
Yeah.
you have that village that is around you, that's surrounding you. Because only doing this internally, there's a part where you do it internally, yet when you have somebody that can witness, there's power in witnessing and somebody else having acceptance for you, that you're okay to feel and be just the way you are right there.
Yeah. As you've illustrated quite eloquently, it is important to allow ourselves the space to grieve. Um, and we also seek this path for healing. That kind of balance is really crucial. Um, and if you're navigating through any kind of complex grief process, it really helps. But active listening is a crucial component, Natalie, of basically effective communication and connection. Can you talk to us about how has mastering active listening has changed your interactions and relationships, uh, both personally and professionally?
You see, for some reason, I was given the gift of listening. And like I said, my nervous system, or maybe I didn't say it here, I've been doing so many podcasts and talking with people.
But you're on the expansion of consciousness now.
Sorry. Um, so let me reiterate, but if I said it, it's I have a space of non-judgment. So people
Yes.
anchor their safety in my nervous system. And so, you know, remind me of the question again, Jason, because I just,
Oh, yeah, yeah. And I just want to know active listening,
yeah, they're
and
listening. Yes.
we know it's a crucial component, really, for effective communication and connection. And I was wondering, how has, I know you've mastered the craft of active listening. How has that changed your interaction and your relationships, both personally and and in your
Yeah.
profession?
So when I was young, people used to talk to me all the time and they would tell me
Mhm.
their inner secrets and they'd be saying like I've never told anybody and I couldn't understand like, well, why are you telling me? Like what's so special about me? And I just, developed a space of empathy and more listening. And then when like I said, I went into investigation in my previous life in the government. So I was interviewing. Yet it was only a one way, I was only receiving information. And then when I, experienced the illness of almost dying 10 years ago, that's where the depth of listening to myself came in. And once I could listen to myself, then I could calm the emotions that might get stirred up when somebody is speaking and allow me to really have active listening of not trying to find like, end the sentence, to actually listen to the story that they're presenting in front of me without thinking I know what they're saying.
Right.
To actually really listen to the content and feel the emotions that they're expressing, and also be able to hear what's in the spaces.
Mm, And that's awesome. We listening is a very big thing with practitioners out there, like you, like me. You have to really, really listen to the client because they have to feel safe. And listening builds trust. And we were taught, and I'm a quantum healing hypnotist, and we were taught by the late great Dolores Cannon that, set aside all of your feelings and listen to the client. Do not take notes on what you hear. Taking notes puts you in the category of any old self-talk counselor or uh, you know coach out there. Listen profusely to the client and memorize, and it allows them to trust more. And the more they trust, the more successful you are. when you're getting ready to initiate whatever kind of session it is. But let's talk about mindfulness tools and the techniques that can be used. And I know that they vary and they can be deeply personal. But can you share some of the tools that have been most effective for you, and why do you think they work so well, and particularly in your development?
Journaling allows me to really get radically honest, and,
Mhm.
I think writing is a meditative state already because it really brings you of feeling sensory what is experienced in your emotions, and allow what's in your head to come out onto paper so you have a different relationship with it. Again, the breath, because the breath never leaves you and it's always in the now. So when you get caught in your storylines, that when you anchor into your breath, it allows you to feel like presently right here, the ground that I'm on, the sensations, the feelings, and also laughter. We do not tap in enough to allow an openness for when we are navigating fear. We get very super serious and wanna, face things head on and realize, "Wait a minute, let me open up the space so that solutions can come forth and not me just trying to hyper focus on fixing a problem." That there's other ways of getting there, and the laughter just allows that constriction to open up. And also another one that is really important is movement. Movement is the body needs movement, the nervous system needs movement. And so a lot of times people will get stuck, and I think the best way to get yourself out of a certain state is music and dancing, because music can really change our mental state, and also dancing allows the body to give expression. So depending on what frequency of music that you're using, there's different expressions that can be brought out that you're not analyzing what's going on, and the body can somatically release that. And then, that clarity can come through of, oh, I didn't see this or I didn't see that. So really understanding, when I work with my clients also, it's like I can give you some perspectives of working here, yet I want you to develop the tools for yourself of what works for you. And so when clients are like, I listened to this, but I tweaked it this way, or I use that, I was like, great. This is what mindfulness is. It's not being dogmatic of you tell me what to do and I'll just follow it and that I'll get the good grade and I'll, figure it all out. It's like, no, you're developing this so that you can navigate your life and the challenges that will always be presented. And so that you can have a fullness of life. I'm not there with you in every day, and you're not letting me know honestly what everything is going on. So when you develop it more, you're able to have that compassion and that radical honesty and really, energize your energy. So you understand what works for you, because mindfulness opens up our energy. It doesn't close it, it actually opens it up. And so once you find the tools that work for you, then you can supercharge your biology. And like you said, I wanna, give a little bit more information about the training that you got about not taking notes. What people don't realize is your nervous system is always watching everything. And those that experience trauma, you are watching what other people are perceiving from the story you're telling. And a lot of times, if you've been traumatized, you don't wanna put that burden on someone. So you are only giving a little bit of honesty at a time, and you're analyzing, and you're trying to figure out what are they trying to think about me and everything else. So by not note taking and just really sitting there and listening to a person, it allows them to be having acceptance of radical honesty of telling their story and allowing that emotional charge to be released that they've been holding on to all the time, so that they have acceptance for themselves and they have compassion for themselves, if that makes sense.
It does. And another component to that is once they start to share their story, there are small subconscious nuggets we plant so that they'll have a smooth session. And I can hear a person talk and talk, and I'll say, well, that was growth. Looks seems like you grew in that moment, and I'll come back and they'll talk, talk, talk. Yeah, see, looks like you were getting better at handling that particular situation because a while ago, you had to show a trigger, but I can see the growth. I can see that you're getting better. We're gonna have a wonderful session. I just can't wait. So we plant these ideas of confidence and growth within their own conversation, and that allows us to be able to reach that safe place, that peaceful place, so that we can perform that level of deep hypnosis. And I want to go backwards to some of the mindfulness tools that you were speaking of, and you just made me smile internally. You talked about journaling, and I had a book club about 2 years ago, and it was a manifestation book club. And the book we used was the 369 book,
Okay.
the manifestation book, and it was an entire year, and it was a club with four other ladies. And the third quarter of the year, we were writing um, letters to our subconscious mind,
Mm.
and in these letters, we were writing things that we were had accomplished that hadn't actually been accomplished yet, but the way we were writing the letters as if it was already. And the subconscious recognizes that, oh, okay, you've been successful at this business you opened, and you writing in detail in this letter on exactly what happened and how successful you were. And that's another way of thinking it. And it's another way of manifesting, writing these letters to the subconscious mind, and it knows that you're writing it. So I was journaling. I sort of thought about uh, subconscious writing, and I picked that up from another, from my spiritual teacher, and she was teaching us that, and I just think that's awesome. And you talked about still just noticing the breath, and the breath is so intelligent. The breath can move without a mantra. The breath, focusing on the breath can really, really quiet a lot of the outside noise. And I just and when you said dancing, and depending on what kind of music you're listening to, the frequency and the happiness and the joyfulness, I thought about the child in the heart space,
Mhm.
and it just brings up a lot of different things that have been taught over the years, working with different teachers. And I know we've spent a lot of money working with folks so that we could understand the proper way to deliver these type of methods and these types of healings to different people. And one of the things is energy healing, and I'm a level 3 galactic energy healer. It's
Okay.
sort of like Reiki.
Mhm.
And energy healing is a concept that really introduces, in many ways, how to use either energy that's coming naturally to the earth that Reiki masters use, or using different patterns that are developed by different beings in different dimensions. But it's basically understood by a few. Could you kind of demystify energy healing for our listeners, and maybe share a personal story about how it's maybe facilitated a significant transformation for you, or maybe someone you know?
You see, I know a lot of people, they hear energy and they think woo woo because it's not scientific, where it's like, well, actually, it is scientific. We're told the food that we eat creates energy, our movement creates energy. While the other thing that they're not talking really fully is yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Our nervous system is built off of energy. And so, a lot of us have been disconnected from our intuition from a young child. You probably went into a room, or possibly you saw your parents in a disagreement and you said, like, what's wrong? And they said, no, nothing, nothing. And so you said, well, they know better than I do. So I can't trust what this voice or what this feeling or sensation is telling me. When in actuality, you probably read it properly, yet they didn't know how to allow you to see emotions and disagreement. And so emotions are built on energy. And where they come from is our thoughts, and there's neural energy. And so that's why, when you're hearing brain health and how to feed the brain, it's because if your brain is not healthy, then it's very angry. And your nervous system's always going to be agitated. And what it does is it looks always for the negative. So being able to feed the body properly with the proper energy, and that just doesn't mean, what you consume through your mouth. Consume through your ears, consume through your ears, your eyes, and also your body, because other nervous systems, read off of. So anxiety is very contagious. I know you've probably gone into a room and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, something's going on here. So it's really understanding your biology is made up of energy. And when you come into your body and you understand you're a part of earth. You're a part of the grounding. There's a magnetic force. That's why they say grounding of walking bare feet, which I know some people would be like, ew, I don't want to do that. Yet, if you do, you'll see a much significant benefit within your nervous system of grounding and being able to feel the universe also. Like, I don't know how many of the listeners were able to partake in the eclipse yesterday. And if they felt the difference of frequency and how, for me, I had a significant headache after and felt very nauseous. And I could feel that there was a state and there was a change in frequency and energies, but not in a frightening way. It's like whatever is to be here is exactly how it's supposed to be. And I'm a part of it. And I have a different relationship with death. So I think that in itself is really, when you talk about energy, you have to bring in the conversation of death so people could have a different relationship with it.
I write about energy healing and Reiki and all that in my book, Empowered by Consciousness. And energy, like you said, yeah, it is misunderstood. We are made of energy. Our spirits are energy. The ground we walk on, the concrete is energy, but it's the particles are moving slower. The atoms are moving slower which makes it solid, which makes it physical. Our cabinetry, the pencils we write with, these microphones are all made of energy.
Mhm.
And it's a interesting, I try to draw a parallel to a box fan, and the rotors are spinning in the box fan if you have it on low.
Yeah.
But if you move it to medium, it's spinning a little bit faster, but you can still see the blades move. And if you put it on high, now you can see the blades moving, but they're moving faster. What if you can put it on 20 times that speed? You won't see the blade because it's moving so fast that it's invisible. And that's the spirit. That's the energy body in the spirit. And that's the difference between between different dimensions.
Mhm.
And as energy beings, the higher our vibration is, the faster the atoms move, the more non-physical it becomes. And it still is energy. So amazing, amazing, amazing. Um,
I just wanna this is coming through me, and
uh-huh.
there may be a listener that needs this validation. Understand we're nervous systems that create other nervous systems. So the information and the energy is transmuted in each nervous system. So when we say generational curse or generational trauma or generational energy, and when we say past lives, there are energetic charges in our nervous system that once you can come back into your body, come back into the clarity, you're able to tap into all of that ancestral energy that has been placed before you. And that conversation isn't here enough, yet I hear it slowly developing. And if you really look at it as scientific, yeah, it makes sense. Like nervous systems are building nervous systems. Like if you look at the sense of two liquids come together and then create this body, this energetic charge, this breath starts coming, and it's the energy charge. Yet, if you tap into your nervous system, not looking at the lack, looking at the resilience that allowed this lineage to come to right now, that you're able to tap into that.
Awesome. Natalie, let's just talk about you right now. We've bumped up against the end of the show with our time frame, but I want to talk about where people can find you. What are some of the cool things you're doing? What are you offering as far as sessions, as far as coaching? Talk to the audience about Natalie Bedard.
Well, if you feel like there was an opening in this conversation, you can find me at liftoneself.com. So that's liftoneself.com. And on there, you'll see my website. We can get into a 15-minute discovery call to see if we can work together. Just because you hear the frequency, it doesn't mean that what you're looking for, I'm able to provide. And it's a dance between the two of us. So I respect that. It's not just I'm going to work with everybody. It's understanding if you have a willingness, because the people that come working with me, they have to have a willingness to go into that unknown and uncertainty and be able to face that pain so that they can transmute it into strength. As you said at the beginning, I also have a podcast called Lift Oneself, where I invite a whole bunch of different guests to open up the dialogue of what mental health is and remove the stigma and bring all these different modalities that are not in the mainstream, that are bringing significant healing for people, and that all of a sudden they can feel validated and feel seen. And so I'm on social media also, where I, leave videos and prompts for people to, inquire about themselves. And a lot of times people are like, it's like you were in my head. You said exactly what I needed to hear to help me ask the proper questions to serve my needs. And so, I work one on one right now. I am in the process of creating course content to be able to reach a greater audience. And I would like to have it more in person, because I do understand when we are in a collective of nervous systems and meditating and willing to heal, there is significant power in that. And Jason, I hope you will accept this invitation and come on my podcast, because I know there's listeners that would be able to benefit from the services and the gifts you're offering to others.
And now you're in my head. Stay out my head, Natalie, because I was going to say, "Oh, I'm gonna be on your podcast. You're going to call me." But no, I'd be honored. A lot of the things that you do, we speak the same language, and it's good that you have a variety of people. And that's why I have you on the expansion of consciousness. People just don't need to hear from me. They need to hear from a variety of people and see who resonates with them. And we're here to actually help enhance the individual. That's why you invested in all this time and healing yourself, and then being able to, use that knowledge and learn from some of the best in the world so that you can offer it and heal others. And this is why we do it.
And I also, for your listeners, I have a free gift for them. So they can go to liftoneself.com/gift. And on there, they'll have to opt in, because this is just how the world is, but they can unsubscribe afterwards. And they'll receive an audio, a 10-minute meditation
Yeah.
where I'll guide them. And as you heard in my guiding and meditation, it's not like I can do loving kindness, I do body scanning, I do all those things. Yet, what I want to do is bring people into their biology so that they can start opening up the curiosity of better understanding and unearthing these things that are creating blockages for their energy. So as you saw, it's like I'm bringing you into the moment, into your body, so that you can be curious of listening and seeing, and that you don't feel overwhelmed, that there's somebody there that guides you with safety. And as you know, the hypnosis part, a lot of people say that my voice brings a real relaxation and calmness, and they're like, can you just be in my back pocket all the time? And as you said, you know, it's not about competition, where we've been taught like, oh, the market and the competition, it's frequency. Some people like dance halls, some people like country, some people like opera. or they like a whole bunch of different things. So each of us has a different frequency that opens up the person that they can hear the information that we're transmitting to them. And so that's how I see when we network and that we open the space, it's not in a way of competition. It's in a way of serving the people, of understanding my frequency just may not get to the depths that you need to. And so let's open up the dialogue, because the main thing is we all want people to feel healed and that they can thrive in their life and feel the joy and the depths of life.
And when you said that, it reminded me, and I'm gonna not gonna name the person, but I had a young lady on the show who's a mindset coach, and I was, offering commentary after one of her takes, and she says, "No, no, not that way." But the way I explained it, I think that's the more appropriate way. I almost dropped the mic, and when you find people out there like that, that's one. They have one level of thinking. You have to understand that these are spiritual modalities and they are packaged in a number of different ways, but they all deliver the same result. And so when you're looking at choosing the person to work with, and I'm speaking to the audience, you choose who resonates, just like Natalie said. And I almost dropped the mic when she said that. I'm like, did I do enough research on you before I had you on my show? There's no one way to do things. Those who will hear, and
Mhm.
those who will see will see. So, Natalie, I want to thank you for coming on the expansion of consciousness. I want to speak to you after I wrap this up. I'm going to say some more beautiful things about you, so you don't want to leave. So, I'm going to move you to the back and let me wrap it up. But thank you for coming on, and I look forward to being a guest on your podcast here pretty soon.
Thank you so much for having me as a guest. And I just want to remind you and your listeners to please remember to be kind to yourself. You matter.
Awesome. And you know what? I'm gonna opt in because I'm tired of hearing my own voice on my self hypnosis audios that I have. So I need a new voice to reach this thick goal. So I will be opting in and get my free offer. So you guys do the same thing and get to Natalie's website and say the website one more time so that they can get it.
Liftoneself.com. And to get the audio is /gift, GIFT.
Okay. So 1 second, let me move you to the back and let me wrap this up. Oops, got you on the solo. Let me move this okay, move from the stage. Okay, here I am. Wow. As we wrap up today's show, it was just so enlightening, a very enlightening conversation with Natalie. I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on the wealth of knowledge and personal insight she shared with us. And Natalie's journey is really a testament, y'all, a testament to the power of resilience, mindfulness, and just the transformative effect of embracing our journeys, with courage and with an open heart. And, when you listen to her experiences and the strategies she's generously shared with us, we've been given a roadmap to navigate our paths towards healing, growth, and self discovery. And, when you think about it, Natalie's story reminds us that no matter what obstacle you're facing out there, the potential for transformation and renewal lies within each of us. And it really underscores the importance of self care and mindfulness and meaningful connections with our inner selves and the world around us. Is can benefit and we can benefit too. When you think about Natalie emphasizing different techniques using the power of kindness, active listening, and the healing nature of energy work, uh, nature itself offers practical tools, and it really inspires anyone that's looking to enrich their life and enrich those around them. And that's why we do this. That's why we spend all these hours, learning so that we can transfer what we know to you. But as we close this episode of Expansion of Consciousness, I want to encourage you the listeners out there to take a moment to reflect on your journey and consider the steps you can take to incorporate mindfulness, self-care, and kindness into your daily routine. And just remember, 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and the path to personal growth and enlightenment is unique and it's universal. And Natalie, your story has inspired many, and I urge you to reach out, and I urge you to share your story and continue the conversation. Guys, connect with us on our social media platforms, Expansion of Consciousness. Subscribe to our podcast, at Expansion of Consciousness on YouTube. I'll have all of Natalie's information in the show notes, all her social media handles, so you'll be able to find her. But if you want more inspiring stories and practical advice, remember to share this episode with someone who might need to hear it. This message that Natalie gave today. So let's together we can embark on this journey of self-discovery, of healing, uh, and the expansion of consciousness. Thank you for joining us. And remember, just like Natalie had some words for you guys, and I always give you these 3 words: trust, relax, and discover. Thank you so much. Good night.